pain, power and preparation going into one of boxing's most controversial fights between Conor Benn and Eubank Jr. is gripping large parts of the nation.
I'd rather win this fight than win a world title. I want to knock Eubank out. I want to show that hard work and dedication can get you anywhere you want to be.
When that bell goes, it will not be a family affair. It doesn't matter whose dads are there and whose dads aren't. When that bell goes, it's just me and Conor.
Their fathers, Nigel Benn and Eubank Sr., famously fought each other in the early 90s. Now the rivalry has been passed on to their sons, set to even out their long-running family feud on Saturday. No titles on the line, but something even more important to them, defending their family name. I travelled to South London to sit down with Eubank Jr. and to the south of Mallorca to meet Conor Benn as both men prepare for the fight of the year. How much about this fight is about defending your family name?
You know, I just want to put the Benn name back where it belongs. You know, for me, it's... I haven't lost. I've not tasted defeat. I've not lost to no man, you know, in 24 fights. So I don't plan on losing now. It's a must win. It's a must win, and I take that pressure on myself. And trust me, I feel the pressure. I feel the pressure to uphold the family name.
If this wasn't to go your way, how would that make you feel as a member of the Benn family?
Listen, my family's proud of me regardless. You know, so it ain't a matter of pride or from my family sense. They're proud of me regardless. But internally, it's a fight. It's a fight I'd love to win, obviously. Mm-hmm. It's the most important fight to me. I'd rather win this fight than win a world title.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you want to fight Conor Benn? There's no belts on the line here. Why him and why now?
There is a massive history behind the Eubank name and the Benn name. It started with my father 35 years ago beating his father in front of an entire nation, and it's now morphed into something of our own. It's a fight that the fans have been asking to see for a long, long time now, and the beef and the story and the history me and Conor have personally is real, and people are invested. I'm invested. It's never happened in the history of boxing where two world champions have had such huge fights and their sons have grown up and are now legitimate fighters themselves, and they come and fight. This has never happened before, and it will never happen again, and that's what excites me about this fight.
Your father is vehemently against this fight. He's made that publicly clear. He feels the difference in weight brings dangers to this fight that he wants nothing to do with. You, like your father, have first-hand experience of opponents suffering brain damage after fights and life-changing consequences. Knowing all of that, how difficult a decision was it to still take this fight?
His last fight was at 154 pounds. This fight is at 160 pounds. It's 6 pounds difference, it's not massive. He hasn't fought at welterweight for 3 years. He is a middleweight, and we will be the same weight on the night. It will be a fair fight, and I will win.
Listen, every fight is a risk, and all fighters know what they sign up for. You know, it's maybe come a little bit sooner than I would have liked. The fight's a fight. I don't look at you and go, cool, he's a big lump, can't fight him. A fight's a fight.
Seems like you don't even allow yourself to even think about the dangers. You're just thinking, it's a fight, I'm gonna go and win. So
yeah, I mean, you can't really be in this sort of game if you're sitting there going, oh, I'm not sure. You know, I'm going in there and I'm going in there swinging.
Despite the things that have happened in the sport, those things don't enter
But that
your
can
mind.
happen at any weight. Don't get hit.
Conor, you've spoken about the fact that you've seen a therapist. Why was it important for you to see a therapist?
Because I needed help. You know, it was a fight that I was losing. It felt like a fight that I was losing. You know, and Yeah, it was something I knew I needed for myself, because I knew the way I was thinking weren't right. Everybody needs help at some stage in their life, because there may be adversities they've gone through, because of traumas, because of whatever it may be, you know, and it was something I couldn't process. I really struggled. But not just me, my family, my dad, my brothers, my sisters. It was a ripple effect of pain. Because actually look at someone you love, then you know you can't save them. That's the only way I can imagine everybody around me must have been looking at me like, we can't even save you. You need to save yourself. You know, and you need to have a look in the mirror and is this who you are? Is this who you are? Is this Eli's dad? Is this Nigel Benn's son? I wouldn't let it beat me at any cost. Also asking for a bit of help, speaking to therapy. I needed it. I needed saving from myself.
And do you mind if I ask how you have, or previously did, deal with the grief of losing your brother? What was your way, or what is your way of coping with the loss of a sibling?
You know, something like that you can never prepare for, you can never really fully understand or accept. All you can do is what you believe your loved ones would want to see you continue to do in your life. For me, I know my brother was always so supportive of my career, which is why, you know, after he passed, I was back in the ring very soon after, which was extremely hard. You know, his son Raheem is, you know, I'm in love with the kid. And being that fatherly figure to him is something I know my brother is looking down on and enjoying. Mm-hmm. He's smiling at that, to see that the love that I have for his son, you know, just being the best man I can be.
Toxic masculinity is a hot topic right about now. It's a live issue in regards to young boys in particular. What do you think needs to happen for a generation of young boys, and we're talking boys, not young men, to steer them away from very influential influencers on social media?
The way I will raise my son is cut off the social media. You can't have, it's just so much access to information, false information, let alone the brain being processed as a kid. Mm-hmm. You know, easily impressionable. You know, and how I raise my kids, always be respectful, always be humble, always, like that's key. Always be respectful to women, that's key. As far as toxic masculinity, what, you know, real men are gentlemen. That's a real man. Social media's evil. I don't post my bad days. You don't see me posting there. I may have posted me in a restaurant one day and then, you know, the night after I'm on the brink of suicide. You know, so you don't, with everything obviously that's been going on, no one knows. Everyone thought I was just coping, just doing all right. I was a mess.
Chris, toxic masculinity is a very live subject in society right now. How conscious are you of that social discourse around a generation of young boys being led in a certain way?
You know, the influential figures today that maybe push toxic masculinity, there are far less of those characters in the world today than there were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. You know, back in those days, that was what every man pushed and believed. That's all that men knew in that age and era.
So remove the toxic, what does masculinity mean to you?
Being a man of your word, doing what you say you're going to do, sticking to the task, being a role model, being respectful, and you know, not letting anybody get in the way of what needs to be done in your life, in your career, on your path.
Why is it important that you, other people, understand the importance of money, the value of money, being intelligent where you place your money? Why is that particularly important to you?
I think it's very important, especially in my line of work, especially in anyone whose career can be shortened. You know, I really have learned from my dad, to be honest. I learned from my mum. You know, they invested well when I was a kid, and I see the fruits of investing. You know, my dad's been retired near 30 years. Chilling. I got told a statistic, 80% of pro athletes go bankrupt with it.
That's more than I thought. Yeah.
Within 5 to 10 years. I believe in the luxuries of life. You know, I'm only 28, but any fight could be my last fight.
You've also spoken about the assumptions that you think people place upon you, that you're a nepotism baby, that because of your dad, you had it easy, you had everything given to you.
Do you know what? I did have a blessed upbringing. I can't lie. I lived on this beautiful island for 12 years. Then we moved to Australia, Sydney, which was very challenging for me. I found it extremely hard to move. Just as a kid, just not fitting in. You know, I was in Spain, but I was never Spanish. You know, I'm in Australia, but I don't understand your culture. And then moving back to Essex, obviously I worked in labouring, worked in scaffolding, painting and decorating. I love painting and decorating, believe it or not. But yeah, do you know what? My dad raised me in a way where I understood that the life blessings that I had were because of him. It's the fruits of his labour. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. So he never spoiled me with money or I wouldn't be where I am if I was spoiled, if he had spoiled me. I wouldn't work as hard as I do if he had spoiled me. My dad has paved the way for me. No doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt, he's paved the way for me. But people think I don't have to work hard to get to where I have to. You think anyone's in that ring fighting for me? You think my dad's in there fighting for me? I've got such a chip on my shoulder about people doubting me. The reality is you can be anything you want to be. Forget your sphere, you ain't got to get it out of the mud. Why? I don't know why it's become a cool thing to be happy about coming from the ends or getting out of the mud. Or I don't want that for my kids. I don't want my son to grow up and have to struggle. I want to give my son the best quality life I can give him.
I only gave him £50 a week. He had to make that last. I never gave him absolutely nothing. Everything that he wanted, he had to earn, just to let him know what it's all about.
And did you understand that?
No, I never understood. It was, yeah, it's just funny because I forgot about that.
Well, has it gone now from you being Nigel Benn's son to now you being Conor Benn's dad?
Yeah, it's so funny.
It's a constant thing.
Yeah, but yeah. Don't
no. It's a constant banter between us both. Because it's like,
or when someone might come to me and say, "Yeah, I just want your dad's autograph," and I go like that.
Well, they'll go, "Oh, Nigel, you legend." Your dad will go.
And let me ask you, Nigel. I mean, it's clear that you guys are very, very close.
Yeah.
The reports are that Chris Eubank Sr isn't quite currently as close with his son as you guys are. How does that make you feel, and why is it important?
Well, I would like to stop you there.
Go
first
for it.
of all, you know, Chris, you know what, he's your son, mate. You know, come be there, mate. This is a family affair, mate. We need you there, mate. You know, we can just catch up on old times. So it'd be good to see you there, mate. Coming back here, son.
Chris, can I show you something very quickly? We were filming in Spain with Conor and his dad, and this was something. It's clear that you guys are very, very close. The reports are that Chris Eubank Sr isn't quite currently as close with his son as you guys are. How does that make you feel, and why is it important?
I would like to stop you there. First of all, you know, Chris, you know what, he's your son, mate. You know, come be there, mate. This is a family affair, mate. We need you there, mate. You know, we can just catch up on old times. So it'd be good to see you there, mate. Coming back here, son.
Do you agree?
It is a family affair in terms of the story, the history. When that bell goes, it will not be a family affair. It doesn't matter whose dads are there and whose dads aren't. When that bell goes, it's just me and Conor. There's no family, there's no friends, there's no teammates. It's just me and Conor. And the fact that I am alone now is maybe preparation for that moment when that bell does go. Obviously, I hope that my father does decide to come in the end, but I can't say if that will happen. I don't know if it will happen. If it does, amazing. If it doesn't, then I guess I understand, and I will get the job done.
What was the reality of you growing up, and especially with a huge shadow of a figure that your father is? And did you ever try to consciously come out from that shadow to become your own man?
For sure. Not as a youngster, but eventually as a man, I had to release myself from that shadow, from that grip, from that control, because he was very controlling. He did want to be involved in every aspect of my life. And I was okay with that coming into the sport, because I'm walking into unknowns. I don't know how to navigate the industry. I don't know what a training camp is. I don't know how to deal with the business side of the sport. But after years and years of fighting and going through all these things and seeing everything that's going on around me, I learned what works and what doesn't work. And I learned that, okay, I love my father, but I also need to be my own man and start making my own decisions. That was not what he wanted for me. He wanted to stay in control, unfortunately, and it affected our relationship as a father and son. But growing up, I was extremely happy. We had a great relationship. I learned so much from him. Even, obviously before I started boxing, we had an amazing relationship, and I hope that one day it can kind of revert back to that, because that's all I need now. I just need a dad. I don't need an advisor. I don't need a manager. I don't need a coach. Just need a dad.
Finally, if you do lose, what next?
That is not a question I'm willing to answer.
Will there be an extended hand or a cuddle of respect between yourself and Chris at the end?
It definitely won't be a cuddle of respect, that's for sure. As for how much I respect him, ain't a lot. As for sportsmanship, there is that. But once I knock him out, after the second fight, I'll shake his hand.
For the second fight?
Yeah, I won't be doing that. I won't be doing that now. No chance. I'll knock him out. I see you at the next one, mate.
Conor, all the best. Thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Chris, thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.